Ladies and gentlemen, all wrestling fans alike, it's that time of year. It's the road to WrestleMania season. And let's be real, I have a lot to say about this lousy build-up, and this Mockingbird does not sing. What is going on, everybody? This is HDX, and we are on the road to WrestleMania 35. And we are in the middle of it after Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber, but first we gotta go through Fastlane, which I honestly think this is nothing more but a filler pay-per-view, and also unnecessary if you ask me. Now, with all that being said, I just really need to talk about what happened this week. I just needed just some time to get it sink in. Last Monday night on Raw, WWE announced an NXT Showcase, starring Aleister Black, Ricochet, the NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa, and the North American champion Johnny Gargano. And it was announced via a social media notification. Seems a little bit off the fly, since that last NXT call-up class from 3 months ago, didn't they go well? And since that we live in a new era that Vince McMahon is claiming, my guess is that they're in a desperate attempt to bring in more stars, which we all know that Vince McMahon is gonna neglect them anyway. Now, the one thing that really just irks me about this NXT Showcase on Raw is that it takes place in Lafayette, Louisiana, of all cities. I mean, like, seriously, Lafayette, Louisiana, with a main roster weekly event, and Monday Night Raw, no less, with the most lackluster crowd that I have ever seen. As you can see, the circled spots, like, this is the most pathetic crowd. Especially calling up 4 of the very, very best that NXT has to offer, and then debut them in front of a lackluster and honestly dead audience of all situations. Seriously, I mean, look at this crowd. You see the highlight there? You see one guy talking to the other guy. You see one girl being brain dead, one kid picking his nose, the other dude is sitting there like, feeling indifferent, and they're midst of the others, they're not even feeling enthusiastic. And this was during a match between Elias and Aleister Black. I mean, it might as well be in an empty arena match on 2K19 at this point. Adding in some virtual tumbleweeds while you're at it. I mean, talk about the worst place at the worst time possible. And with the very best of NXT that has to offer, no less. I mean, like, it just seems to me that, like, Vince McMahon had this conversation with Triple H. Like, hey, Hunter, I need to desperately rise up my ratings. I'm gonna need you to lend these NXT stars you have. Wait, what about those new call-ups that you brought up during our stupid New Era promo last December? Well, those ones are already broken. I don't care about them anymore, because they're not my originals. What? Oh, come on! Every time I make a new NXT star, you just ruin them in the next minute. What makes you think that they're gonna be in good hands this time? Hunter, we are living in a new era, and I'm gonna need some new stars so we can fill out these gaps. You better book the talent loop with the love and respect that I do in NXT, or so help me God, there's gonna be hell to pay. Well, you know me, I'm not gonna promise you that anyway, so screw you. That right there is the most common miscommunication between a senile old man and the successor. Only this time a lot more frustrating. And there's one thing I wanted to bring up in particular, and that is Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, formerly together as DIY. 2 years ago, they broke up after that amazing Tommaso Ciampa heel turn and become one of the most hated and at the same time the most loved villains in all of NXT. And I love Ciampa, just for the record. There was a time that he attacked Johnny Gargano in the back, which was freaking awesome at TakeOver Philadelphia. But then there was a time they had this sanctioned no-holds-barred match in TakeOver New Orleans where these two going at it, and then 2 months later at the Chicago Street Fight in TakeOver Chicago where Tommaso Ciampa spit at Gargano's wedding ring. Then 3 months later at TakeOver Brooklyn 4, the last man standing match, with that much tension and animosity towards each other. And now at last Monday, they both debuted on Raw, and they come in as a tag team? Hell, even Gargano and Ciampa were looking at each other and they're like, okay, we're now debuting on Raw as a tag team, even though that we're still in the middle of a feud that has been long lasting for 2 years in NXT. Like, what? Like, what kind of sense does that make? Like, those two are bitter rivals. They are bitter enemies in NXT. Like, why the hell would you just tag them along in the Raw debut all of a sudden? It's like the Raw creative is basically pulled a Sandra Bullock and just blindfold themselves like in the Bird Box, and they just threw random crap on the fly in hopes that they would get a reaction. And you know, that is the best thing to describe the main roster creative. Too many chefs in the kitchen that is best described the main roster creative. They're so frazzled, the entire creative process is a clusterfuck, and they have to put up with one individual, the head of the creative, that just undermines everything and trying to demand to change everything in the fly. Also, they never have any long-term plans to keep the storylines further and further in the long term. So all you get is logical gaps and plot holes. And look, when I want to watch a television show, I do not want any logical gaps nor plot holes whatsoever. I want things that connect in one sequence after another that connects to a storyline or a plot, not some random interchangeable filler thing after another. And the best way to describe what happened last Monday and then last Tuesday as well, it kind of shows you that the main roster creative has been exposed in terms of their creative ineptitude, in terms of how not following storylines, in terms of not planning long term, and a head booker that is so senile and just doesn't even care at this point, aka Vince McMahon. Oh, let's not forget Kevin Dunn, aka Vince McMahon's beaver-toothed henchman. I swear, like, these two just love to kiss each other's asses in the Kiss My Ass Club. Oh yeah, and your ratings are not gonna get any better. A 2.77 at Raw, and on SmackDown, a 2.26. That right there, not good ratings. In conclusion, main roster creative has been exposed on Monday Night Raw. Effortlessly, no less. And little to no avail, only a stagnant 2-point+ ratings. Vince needs to step down creative, seriously.